Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing book reviews. So if you don't belong to a book club, think about starting your own. The first book we're going to talk about is Transcendent Kingdom by Gyasi. This is the same author that did Homegoing. That book got a lot of critical acclaim and I haven't read it, so if you've read it, comment below. Transcendent Kingdom is a story of a girl named Gifty who is from Ghana, and they immigrate to Alabama in the US. And if you are thinking about starting a book club, this is a great choice. The book is slow, and it's the kind of book you read before falling asleep, and that's fine if it's slow. It doesn't need to be a page turner for you to enjoy it. Some books are just like that. They don't lose value just because they're the kind that you just slowly digest. The reason why I'm suggesting it for a book club is it'll generate a lot of conversation. What is the role of the church in a community? What is the role of fathers in children's lives, and what happens when they aren't there? I think everybody has a story about that one. It also talks about race, and just because you're from Ghana doesn't mean you identify as African American. And I think I was the only person that brought it up at book club. Granted, my book club has a different makeup that doesn't really reflect the entirety of America, but I think I was the only person that said, you know, they went to this all-white church and they were Ghanese immigrants, and they didn't really know that they must have had other options. Why would they go to a black church? They're not black, they're from Ghana. Another reason I like this book is the girl Gifty is a neuroscientist, and my undergrad was neuroscience, and she's trying to find the neural substrate of addiction. And that's another topic that you could unpack in a book club, is the opioid crisis. So this is a great book. Just be warned that this is not a page turner like the other books I'm about to review, but it still has value and it still has merit. The next book is The Feather Thief by Kirk, Wallace, Johnson. I didn't get this book. This book got rave reviews on NPR, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm not a boy or a man who enjoys fly fishing and tying flies. I just read the whole book and thought, this is such a tragedy, because a lot of these birds are either on the brink of extinction or are completely extinct. And it's a story of how, I think the character's name is Edwin. He goes to the British Museum of Natural History and robs their collection for the sake of feathers, and he has an obsession with tying flies. It's such a tragedy because that is a huge loss in the scientific record. For those of you who appreciate things like evolution, and it's gone. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to come forth and say, listen, here are these birds that are extinct, that are from all around the world, and now it's in the hands of people who could care less on the black market. And there's a whole entire underground of people who collect these feathers, and I thought that was interesting. But the book was just a book about great theft, and I won't tell you if he's convicted or not. It's a true story. The next book is really a tough read for me because it is infuriating. If you aren't infuriated enough by the news, maybe this will make you even angrier. So this book is called Educated by Tara Westover. So I'll tell you why it's infuriating. I feel like the story of this girl who is not educated, who grows up Mormon, is absolutely scary because it's true. This is a memoir. This child has no formal education whatsoever. I'm finding it very difficult to read because these parents are absolutely infuriating. And given that we're still in this pandemic and people are still not vaccinated and people are still giving us grief about wearing masks, it's just hits too close to home, and I think that's why I'm struggling with how difficult it is to read this book. It is really well written. She's a great writer, and I hope to follow her on social media and maybe see one of her TED Talks, because I think she's a fabulous young writer. Also, she's a little bit younger than me, so it's nice to see contemporary literature where we know we were during Y2K and we know where we were during September 11th. So it's nice that this is contemporary and great read, but just be prepared that some of the stuff might be triggering. People who read Gyasi said that her book was triggering. I didn't think so. I felt like it was a very intellectual exercise that just unpacked a lot of things. For me, educated is very triggering. So let me know if it was for you too. Next, I am happy to report that I finished Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. What a great book. Like, yes, it is dark, and at the time I just wasn't mentally in the right space to be able to read Dark Places. It is dark, it is good, it is well written. It's a story of a girl whose entire family was massacred and the brother goes to jail for it. And the question is, did he do it? And just really well written, and I love how the author makes you question, is she really remembering things the way she is? Is this really true? Did this really happen? Is the brother withholding something? Is he really guilty? So I think Gillian Flynn does a great job with suspense. FYI, she's this author of Gone Girl, which is the Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike movie, which I thought was really good. If you like thrillers, I have two for you: Dark Places and The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. So far, it looks like there's a child killer on the loose. That's all I'm saying. It's pretty terrifying because I think at page 3 I put the book away. So it's going to be a great read for the summer, simply because our daylight hours are longer. And so you can start reading the book at 8:30, and at 10:30 the sun would have just set and you can go to bed. So it's a good book for the summer. It's a hefty book for the summer, but I think you'll enjoy. Now to shift gears. If you happen to hear any noises like squeaky toys, it is because we got a puppy. It is something we are completely unprepared for, and I will make a video on just how unprepared we are and how we've survived 6 weeks of being Charlie's owners. He's a really lovely dog. He's an English lab. This is the first time we bought a dog. We've always rescued. I won't go into the reasons why, but I'm gonna go into the books that I used to prepare myself. The first one is called The Art of Raising a Puppy by the Monks of New Skete. Did you know that in upstate New York there is a monastery, and these monks, in order to support themselves, were breeding German Shepherds? People got these German Shepherds, had so much difficulty raising them that they came back and said, would you please help us train these dogs? And they did, and they wrote a book. Now, midway between the book, into the book, I stopped reading because one of the things they said is grab the dog by the scruff of the neck and shake it. And I just saw pictures of our future puppy, and it was so tiny with its litter mates in the pen with its mom that I just couldn't imagine manhandling a dog. I tend not to use force with any animals because that's just not how I'm built. So I stopped reading, and I thought, I think this book might be outdated. I think that the evidence coming out of the veterinary world right now is only use positive reinforcement at all times. I will come back to this book. Next, Puppy Preschool. Puppy Preschool is by John Ross and Barbara McKinney. This is a really nice book. I got it out from the library. First question, are you ready for a puppy? And I wish I'd read the book before we got the dog, because it would have given me pause. And the answer is yes, we're ready. We're two capable, intelligent, caring adults, and right now we have the flexibility because one of us works from home. So I thought it did a great job just asking basic, intelligent questions. Are you ready? Do you know what is entailed? Do you understand the milestones? Do you understand that there are limitations? Do you understand your own limitations? And it slowly goes through it, and I thought this is the best book so far. Next, Puppies for Dummies is by Sarah Hodgson. This book is terrible, and I'll tell you why it's terrible. I have flagged so many pieces of information because there are quizzes in here, and it felt like this book gave me ADD. Like the book was just jumping all over the place, and I had to flag so many places because I had to say, okay, well, when it comes time to dealing with nipping and aggression and spaying and neutering, I have to remember to go back. That's not good. Like, we're in a crunch time here. When you get a new dog, you need information quickly. What's my sleep schedule going to be like? What is potty training going to be like? What do I do about nipping and aggression and biting? These are, safety questions. And to sort of tease people, or maybe the fact that she's a blogger, maybe that's how she presents information to the world in disjointed little tidbits. So maybe I'm not being fair. Maybe that's just how she writes. But at the very end, in order for our puppy to graduate, we had to teach him a trick. And at the very end, she gives you a few tricks you can teach your dog. So I appreciated that. Now, let's go back to this blogger thing. There's a book called The Good Dog, Love Them by Leading Them by Sean O'Shea. This looks like a blogger wrote it, and a blogger wrote it well. I'm actually going to be reading this because I skimmed through it and I thought, I wish I'd seen this one first instead of Puppies for Dummies. Now, remember how I talked about the monks of New Skete? It turns out that a little bit of firmness is absolutely necessary. Whenever you deal with aggression in dogs and you go to trainers, the first question they ask you is, did your dog bite you? Yes. Did the dog break skin? Yes. And now I see why these monks are using that more firm hand. It makes sense. Like, they live in a peaceful community. There are a lot of people who come to the convent for meditate, pray, and you can't have the rambunctiousness that we deal with in our daily lives. So I am going to give Monks of New Skete a try. Now, you want a good laugh? Look at the pictures, because the pictures are all like men with 1970s clothing and bell bottoms disciplining a German Shepherd. It's kind of funny. So give Monks of New Skete a try and make your decision about how firm you want to be. And don't dismiss this because it was written about 40 years ago. The last one is my comment about being succinct. I went through Puppies for Dummies page by page, and I know that's not how you're supposed to read a book like this. Here's a nice one. This is called Way to Go, How to House Train a Dog of Any Age, Karen B. London and Patricia B. McConnell. This is like maybe 22 pages, and it just gets to the point. How do you potty train a puppy? I am happy to report that we've had 0 accidents, but then we're also on it. He plays, he pees. He eats, he pees. He naps, he pees. I nap, he pees. So we're on it, but I just thought this is just great. And for people who are like drowning in those first few weeks of puppy ownership, it was ideal. So if you got a new puppy, congratulations. It really is a journey. And on days when I get my full 7 hours of sleep, I really enjoy him. And on other days, I enjoy him every 2 hours or so. So congratulations. For the rest of you, happy reading, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.